Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the Clippers vs Rockets game that happened yesterday. We're going to be looking at 7 things that we noticed, or 7 things that we learned from the game. So if you enjoy these types of videos, it would be greatly appreciated if you could drop a like. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, press the notification button so you don't miss an upload. And if you want, you can follow me on Instagram too. With that said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you for all the support recently. You guys have been showing a lot of love, so I appreciate that. And let's get on with it.
Let's get it.
At number 7, the Houston Rockets' hot start to the game. At least something that I've noticed when I've watched Houston Rocket games is they seem to start a little bit slow. It takes them a few shots to get into it. In the last couple of games against the Warriors, the Bulls, and the Pelicans, they've done well in each of those games as they've obviously won all 3 of them. But they haven't immediately dominated, and that was something that I was really excited to see as an NBA fan, because I want to see Houston in the playoffs this year. I want to see how far Westbrook and Harden can go, especially after James Harden said this.
In my opinion, this is the greatest opportunity you've had to win a championship in your career in Houston. Do you believe that?
Facts. 100%.
Does that mean you're going to deliver?
Take advantage of the opportunity.
Are you saying you're going to do it or you need to do it?
I am. We are.
James Harden and the Houston Rockets are going to win the championship.
Correct.
This year.
Let's get it. The goal is to be holding up that championship.
Do you like it that way?
Yeah, I love it that way.
You like people quiet, not talking about y'all at all?
I love it.
It got me excited to see how far Houston can go, which meant that this game against the Clippers was extremely important, and they came out the gate firing. They played very well to start out. James Harden looked ready. Westbrook looked ready, but almost too fiery as he got some quick and early fouls that really he shouldn't have picked up. But obviously Harden just dominated. Out the gate, 13 points in the first quarter. He looked like the guy that the Clippers were going to have to defend. And they put Patrick Beverly on him for most of the game, and they should have put Kawhi Leonard on him. They even tried to put Rodney McGruder on him, who's a pretty decent defender. I watched him in Miami, and he's obviously a good 3-and-D guy, but he's not going to be able to defend James Harden. And clearly he didn't defend James Harden because, well, he almost had 50. But in a matchup that was almost like a playoff game, the intensity was there. The Houston vs Clippers rivalry will be something that we possibly could see in this year's playoffs. So to get a preview of that was pretty awesome to see. Although neither team has their full team, the Rockets don't have Eric Gordon, who has been a little bit iffy this season, and obviously the Clippers don't have Paul George yet, but it's still a good preview to see how these two teams will go at it. Which is why when Houston came out firing out the gate, it was pretty good to see the team that wasn't favourite and hasn't really been as good this season start well. And largely that hot start could have contributed to the end win. Even though the Clippers did come back, I think the Rockets having a good start to the game really gave them some confidence. At number 6, it was good to see James Harden come out focused. The thing about James Harden is obviously he's one of the greatest scorers in the league. He's arguably the greatest scorer in the league. He's leading the league in points per game. Over the last 3 games, he's absolutely dominated, and that is something that obviously we expected of him, and we didn't really see it at the start of this season. He was putting up good numbers, but he's definitely picked up his form recently because we all know about his rough start to this season. After being an MVP candidate last season, he really struggled with his shooting to open this season. So to see him on a tear in the last few games, and especially against the Clippers, who are a great defensive team, is really good to see James Harden back, because James Harden, who scores this many points, is an extremely fun James Harden to watch. At number 5, the Patrick Beverly vs Russell Westbrook matchup. Although Pat Bev was guarding James Harden for majority of the game, and Russell Westbrook was fouling for most of the first half, it was still good to see them face off against one another considering their beef and their history in the past. We all know about the Patrick Beverly-Russell Westbrook beef. That has continued for many, many years, and it's kind of weird to see Russell Westbrook play for the Houston Rockets when Patrick Beverly was once a Houston Rocket, going at Russell Westbrook, who played for the Thunder. To see Westbrook in a Houston Rockets jersey now is just a little bit weird, but once again we saw them go at it, and they did have some words exchanged after the game, with Russell Westbrook saying this.
Pat Bev trick y'all, man, like he play defense. He don't guard nobody, man, just running around doing nothing. It's not. As you've seen, what happened, 47. All that commotion to get 47.
ESPN's Tim McMahon reported that Beverly wasn't interested in responding, saying, "Don't start that, don't start that. I don't care about that." But what was the most interesting part about that is when you look at the actual stats, and Tim McMahon actually posted this on Twitter, He said per ESPN stats info, James Harden was 0 of 6 with 4 turnovers when defended by Patrick Beverly tonight. Harden was spectacular overall with 47 points, but the facts don't support Russell Westbrook's opinion that Beverly is an overrated defender. Now the thing is, and the big question is, if Pat Bev locked down James Harden, where did all of James Harden's points actually come from? Well, let's break it down. For the most part, it was Pat Bev who would guard him, but then at times it would be Mo Harkless, and then most of the time what would happen is James obviously is a heavy ISO player, so he would get in isolation, get a pick and roll, the defenders would switch, that means he would just use his step back move on Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, definitely Mo Harkless, at times Kawhi Leonard. Basically every Clipper defender was getting scored on. The one thing that is really interesting is that when Paul George gets back, he will replace Mo Harkless, both offensively and defensively and exactly the same position. Which means that when Paul George gets back, can James Harden really do what he did in this game against Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Pat Bev? That's going to be interesting, and I guess we're going to have to wait until the next time these two teams go at it. At number 4, this one I kind of touched on before, but I was really surprised that Kawhi Leonard didn't defend James Harden. When Patrick Beverly picked up his third foul in the second quarter, we did finally see Kawhi Leonard defend James Harden, but Harden was able to switch out of it, and Kawhi Leonard never really looked like he was trying to defend James Harden. Harden would go in for a pick and roll, and they would switch it, which meant that he really didn't want the matchup. Not to say that Kawhi Leonard couldn't defend James Harden or can't defend James Harden, but I was surprised he didn't try to defend James Harden throughout the game. In the opening quarter, Harden had 13 points. Overall, Harden dropped over 40, and Patrick Beverly was guarding him for majority of the game. So, to me personally, I would have liked to see Pat Bev guard Russell Westbrook and Kawhi guard James Harden. That would have been really fun to watch. At number 3, Russell Westbrook's foul trouble. This is something that Russell Westbrook has actually been doing a lot recently. He's been fouling. Mike D'Antoni tends to let him stay in the game when he picks up his first and second fouls. Sometimes even his third foul, which he did in this game. And at times, it kind of looks like Westbrook goes a little bit too hard and makes some really stupid decisions. Obviously, I get it. It's what makes him a great player. His ferociousness, his attack on the ball. He's a bit of a savage on the court, but at times, this gets him into foul trouble, and we've seen it in the past few games. I know at times it is just the way that Russell Westbrook plays, but I hope when it gets to the playoffs at least, it's not detrimental to the team, because obviously he's a great player, but he can only be a great player when he's actually on the court, and he basically missed majority of the second quarter and parts of the first quarter as well. Obviously in the second half he was able to play, he put up some good numbers, he hit some clutch threes, so I give Russell Westbrook his props. But at the end of the day, I believe that when watching Westbrook, he definitely has the ability to be one of the best defenders in the NBA because of his athleticism, his determination. He just sometimes has those mental lapses where he picks up quick fouls and he just doesn't need to do that. So that's going to be really interesting to watch to see how that develops over the season, because if Westbrook keeps doing this, it's kind of detrimental to the team at times. At number 2, Austin Rivers giving a technical to his dad. That was pretty cool to watch. Obviously, he didn't give the technical. The ref gave the technical to his dad. But you saw Austin Rivers egging him on, so that was pretty fun. Just something a little bit cool to watch. I mean, at the end of the day, Doc Rivers traded his own son away. Obviously, that would have been pretty hard to do, and it would have been kind of weird, but he did do that. So Austin just got him back one time. And lastly, this isn't part of the game, but we're going to see Paul George back next game, which is going to be extremely exciting. And we're finally going to see the Clippers at basically full strength. They have Pat Bev, they've got Lou Will, they've got Kawhi, Montrezl Harrell, Paul George. It's a very, very good team. Now we're going to be able to see if they can piece it together, because although it's amazing on paper, there are some teams that at times are almost too good. You can have too many stars on a team, and we've seen that before. We saw it with the Denver Nuggets in the 07-08 season, I believe. We've seen it with teams that are obviously a lot better than other teams, but because they don't have the chemistry and they can't piece it together, that's why they don't succeed. Now, I'm not to say that the Clippers won't succeed, because they have a very good team, and no matter how Paul George plays offensively, the defense he brings is going to make this team better, you'd assume. But offensively, it's going to be interesting. Does Lou Will still get the amount of shots he's been getting? Does Kawhi still get the amount that he's been getting? Does Paul George get the same as last season, where he was really close in the MVP race as well? He wasn't ever going to win it, but at times he seemed in the conversation. So that's going to be fun to watch. And next time the Houston Rockets play the Clippers, we're hopefully going to see a Paul George matchup against Russell Westbrook as well. So with that said, let me know what you think. And I hope you guys enjoy the video.